Oh, wait. Let's unpack this. Today, we're diving into some pretty unique source material. It's excerpts from a book called Too Lazy to Be Productive. 50 passive-aggressive quotes to keep you comfortably unmotivated. The author listed is Lazy Old Low.
Yeah, that title, it certainly doesn't hide its intentions, does it?
Not at all.
It tells you right away this isn't your standard productivity guide. It seems, positioned deliberately against all that pressure to always be on.
Exactly. So our mission here is to really get a feel for the main idea, and maybe even more importantly, the tone of this book. It's looking at what the source calls, kind of playfully, the fine art of giving up. Strategically, it adds.
Strategically.
We're just going to explore this perspective, with curiosity, pull out what seems interesting from the source itself. And just to be clear, we're looking at the book's perspective here, not necessarily saying this is the way.
And the book itself is really upfront about its goals, or maybe its lack of goals.
All right.
The section on how to use it is quite revealing. It says, just flip through it, no rules, it's not a workbook. And then it says pretty directly, if by the end of this book you feel more motivated,
Yeah.
we apologize. That was not the goal.
Right. It's just dripping with that sarcasm and passive aggression it promises on the cover. It really sets you up for like a shared sigh or an eye roll about life, not a pep talk.
Yeah, it's almost refreshing in a way to
Yeah.
see something lean into being unmotivated when everything else is pushing hustle, hustle, hustle.
Totally. So let's get even to the core messages, which really come through in the quotes. We've sort of grouped them into a few themes that pop up again and again. The first one feels like it's all about redefining rest, what inaction even means.
Yes, exactly. It sort of challenges that default idea that not doing something is bad or, a failure.
Yeah.
It tries to frame it as valid, maybe even valuable.
There's one line that sums this up perfectly, I think. I planned to do nothing and succeeded brilliantly.
Right. It takes words like planned and succeeded, words we usually link with like tasks and achievements, and applies them to doing nothing.
Which kind of suggests doing nothing can be a deliberate win, an active choice, maybe.
Yeah, not just something that happens to you. And the source really boosts the idea of sleep and rest. It's not just, necessary, but almost strategic.
Like calling sleep a productivity hack, or that line, living proof that sleep solves everything.
Those totally flip the script, don't they? Sleep isn't the thing you sacrifice for productivity. Here, it's presented almost as the tool itself, or maybe the alternative to needing all that productivity. It's an interesting way to frame value.
And they give this state of not doing these fancy names. Like, this is not laziness, it's advanced chilling.
Advanced chilling, yeah.
Or I skipped burnout and went straight to nap mode.
Advanced chilling makes it sound like, you need skill. Like you're an expert chiller. And skipped burnout. That's a really key phrase, I think. It suggests this whole approach isn't just about dodging work. It's maybe self-preservation, like opting out of the race before you crash.
Yeah, choosing a different gear. Like, I'm not lazy, I'm on pause. Or that one, work hard, nap harder. It puts napping right up there with hard work, maybe even above it in this book's world.
What's really striking is how these quotes just normalize, even celebrate, taking it easy, prioritizing rest, which is such a contrast to that constant be productive pressure that, leads so many people towards burnout.
Oh, definitely. And that pressure, that's exactly what the next bunch of quotes seems to be fighting against. This part of the book feels like a straight-up anti-hustle manifesto.
Yeah, this is where you really see the pushback against always needing to strive and achieve and optimize. And it's usually coded in that specific brand of sarcasm.
The book nails that feeling of just being done with ambition. I had ambition once, it was exhausting. That line just lands, doesn't it? Kind of sums up a whole mood.
It really does.
Yeah.
It makes you ask, is all that chasing worth the energy drain? And it contrasts the effort with ease, like in the quote, why try when you can nap?
And the avoidance isn't just about one task, it's bigger. I'm not avoiding you, I'm avoiding everything.
Right.
Or booking yourself solid. My schedule is fully booked with doing nothing.
Yeah, those really show a full-on resistance to being busy. It's not just putting off one thing. It's like a conscious choice to opt out of the whole game, framed deliberately,
They poke fun at the usual motivational stuff, too. Goals are great. I prefer blankets.
Simple, effective.
And the direct comparison. You hustle, I'll nap. Balance.
That idea of balance is really interesting here in the book's view. It's like hustle and napping are two valid, maybe equal ways to live. And
Yeah.
picking one is just, your preference.
Yeah.
Finding your own kind of equilibrium, even if it looks lazy to everyone else.
There are other quotes really hammering this rejection home. Motivation is a myth. I choose snacks. Plans canceled. Happiness activated. Mondays are optional in my lifestyle. And this one, twisting the old saying, time is money. I'm broke and napping.
That last one is just perfect passive-aggressive humor, isn't it? It nods to the whole time is money thing society tells us, but then presence being broke and napping as like the chosen, maybe even superior alternative. A funny way to just reject that whole economic drive.
And lines like busy avoiding being busy. The focus isn't on doing things, it's on the active work of avoiding doing things.
Yes, it highlights the effort that can go into not doing things, which actually brings us to another really interesting theme in the book. The idea that being lazy isn't just passive, it actually takes effort. Maybe it's even an art form.
Exactly. It sounds like a contradiction, but the book has quotes just for this. Like, being lazy takes effort. Respect it.
That feels like a core idea the book's playing with, that, strategic slacking or successful avoidance. It isn't effortless. It actually takes skill, or at least a certain mindset, to pull off in a world that's always nagging you to do stuff.
It's presented as an active thing you're doing. Don't disturb. I'm in the middle of avoiding tasks. You're not just idle. You're busy avoiding.
Right. And that quote about multitasking,
Yeah.
it really emphasizes the mental side of it. My idea of multitasking, lying down and thinking about standing up.
Uh-huh.
The effort isn't physical.
Yeah.
It's all in the thinking about it.
Yeah.
And then, deciding, nah.
Or I overthink instead of overwork. So the mental churn of overthinking is positioned as the alternative activity to actually working.
Which, in the context of this source, isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's maybe just where you choose to put your energy. And the book even talks about mastering this, like it's a skill. I've mastered the art of not today.
That sums it up perfectly, doesn't it? The art of it. It's not just procrastination. It's achieving a high level of deliberate deferral.
And maybe the ultimate statement of pride in this whole state, I'm doing nothing and I'm doing it well.
Yeah.
That one quote, maybe more than any other, just captures the book's whole countercultural vibe that doing nothing, if you do it right, can actually be its own kind of accomplishment.
And through all of this, it's so clear that the passive-aggressive humor, the sarcasm right in the title is absolutely key. The book really leans into this weary but funny tone all the way through. Even tiny details like the joke in the copyright notice. Did you see that? About not microwaving the book?
Oh yeah, unless you're planning to hang it on your wall in protest.
Exactly. And the publisher name listed is the surprisingly still alive creative studio.
Which just perfectly matches that tired, slightly defiant, but still humorous vibe, doesn't it?
Totally.
It all reinforces that this isn't some serious call to arms. It's more like a playful, almost performative way of embracing being comfortably unmotivated. Using humor to maybe point out how absurd the authors feel, the alternative is that constant draining push for productivity. And it's important, for this deep dive for us to remember, we're just reporting on the content and the tone we found in this specific source.
Right. So we've dug into Too Lazy to Be Productive. We've looked at how it reframes rest, pushes back against hustle culture, finds a weird kind of pride in minimal effort, and even suggests that doing nothing can be an art.
And the source is totally open about its goal,
Yeah.
keeping you comfortably unmotivated. It uses that sarcastic humor as its main tool to present this view that really goes against the grain of needing to be constantly busy.
So in a world that just won't shut up about hustle and productivity, here's this book basically celebrating the opposite. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What does it mean to see this perspective just laid out there, even humorously? I mean, could a book like this actually be a valid counterpoint, maybe even a form of self-care for people feeling burned out?
Or is it just, giving people clever, passive-aggressive ways to justify not doing things? It's interesting to think about how these kinds of jokes and sentiments might reflect a real tension in society, right? Between what we're expected to do and how overwhelmed maybe a lot of people actually feel.